That's a good question, and I would say it's very important. The approach you're talking about, where you're counting points, you can eat all your points anytime you want, and you can eat all your points as carbohydrates. And so, I think structurally, shall we say, that gives you can give you a little bit of wiggle room. People don't usually do that, but so it comes back kind of to a couple of things. It comes back to the fact that a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie, and the way that calories are, that the nutrients are transformed into different channels in your body is different. Carbohydrates, when you're 12, they're used to fuel muscle, and if you're an athlete, they're used to fuel muscle. But when you're older and you've got a higher, slower metabolism and you're not growing anymore vertically, that insulin takes that glucose and converts it to fat directly. Protein is converted slowly to glucose, so your blood sugar is steady. Fat, in the absence of carbohydrates, fat is used for cell wall construction and energy. As soon as you add carbohydrates in there, fat will participate in the storing of fat in the fat cell. So, calorie management, calories are important. Type of calories, where they're from, food source is important, and timing, meal timing is important. And it has to do with the fact that, for example, that very first meal in the morning, if you get adequate protein first thing in the morning, you turn on protein metabolism, you avoid turning on fat storage. Because if you turn on fat storage with, say, a big healthy breakfast, pun intended, of lots of cereal and oatmeal and sweets and stuff, you turn on insulin, and it inhibits hormone, it inhibits hormone-sensitive lipase and the adipocyte, so that it turns off fat burning. So starting with protein early on, and then fueling with frequent amounts of calories, so that you keep protein metabolism turned on, you avoid going into starvation, and you avoid storing fat. So if you go longer than about 3 or 3.5 hours, your metabolism tends to slow down, blood sugar tends to drop. When your blood sugar drops, stress hormones go up, including cortisol and epinephrine, and your body perceives that as a stressor, and the next calories are primed to store fat. Now, a lot of this is kind of subtle, but the literature out of nutrition and metabolism is pretty convincing. It's not out of the medical literature, it's out of the nutrition.
So even if I have a good breakfast, a high pro breakfast that really gets me rolling, but if I wait a little too long to get that next meal in, even though maybe it's a high pro meal, it may still find its way.
Well, it'll basically, what'll happen is your metabolism will slow. That'll be the major effect in the scenario you described. And
right now I could use all the metabolism I can get.
You can. And the other thing that happens practically is that when you get hungry, if you wait too long, you get hungry, your willpower goes away, because we only have this much willpower. And if you use it at the beginning of the process, then it refills and you always have enough. But if you're really hungry, that's not enough willpower to keep you from blowing it. So that's part of it too. I think meal frequency is actually important. You keep your body fueled, you keep from having insulin spikes, you keep adequate nutrition around, hunger's at bay, it's easier to make clear-headed decisions. So there are a lot of good reasons.